and I'll turn it over to Frank and Allison.
So, well, thank you all so much for having us. So yeah, we're Social Borough. It's kind of a husband-wife duo. So I'll go ahead and I'll share my screen and got a little presentation for y'all, and we'll just kind of walk through it. So the basic goal of the day that we really kind of want to leave y'all with and kind of share is turning likes into loyalty with better social media. So obviously social media is a force to be reckoned with. So and that's all we do.
You're gonna have to let people in or... Okay. One of the things that we wanted to point out is that our concept of turning likes into loyalty really speaks deeply to our belief that vanity metrics really don't do a whole hell of a lot for your business. We try really, really hard to focus in and zero in on brand strategy and content that makes sense and makes your brand stand out. I have been a copywriter with advertising agencies down in Atlanta for about 13 years. We moved up here. I still do some freelance for people that I like. My focus so far has been brand management, strategy, and content development, specifically for Social Borough. And in my time as a copywriter, I built brand voices and messaging frameworks for over 20 small businesses.
Yeah, and then so for me, my path was a little bit different. So I've been in advertising and marketing for about 11 years, more smaller agencies and in-house roles. So definitely kind of seeing both sides of that and how that works out. My specific role within Social Borough is primarily apps, admin, and paid ads. So I'll get to it later, but basically kind of together, we kind of form this thing of like mostly organic social or organic supported by paid. And then right now we currently manage around 80 profiles across healthcare, CPG, thought leadership, service industries. I mean, you name it.
We're very diligent in our business about making sure that we don't oversaturate ourselves with companies that are in the same vertical. So we try really hard to make sure that if we have a restaurant, that we don't take on another restaurant client within an acceptable radius. So that way we're not asking the same small communities to rob Peter to pay Paul for this, that, or the other small business. And Frank will never tell you, but he is definitely the Facebook whisperer. So if you have any issues, you need somebody to yell at the tech people, he can do that for you.
Yeah, no guarantees, but yeah, I can get to someone. So our plan for today is Allison's going to take the first half after a quick intro, and then we'll pause real quick for Q&As. You can also put any questions in the chat so we can get to those immediately as well. And then I'll pick up the last half and again have time for Q&As.
So just to touch a little bit on what we're actually talking about, we do believe that social media should be a business asset, not an afterthought. And we use loads of research and hyper targeting, as well as collaborative marketing, to make that happen with honest, original strategy that reconnects you to your local community. And I guess, oh, Frank's got the clicker. No, Frank doesn't have the clicker. Allison has the clicker. So my part of the presentation, I'm going to lead you guys in and help you find your brand voice. One of the things that I think is really important is to just define this business asset. You know, it's one of those things that feels a little bit buzzy, and honestly, it's a little bland. If we take the actual literal definition of what a business asset is, it's anything of value that your business owns, creates, or benefits from. That's your inventory, your unique services, real estate, employees, customer perception, but appreciation also. But what does that mean? If you want to tie your brand into that, we need to start thinking about your brand voice as your visual and written style that helps your customer pinpoint your unique content in the digital noise. So if you're thinking about Times Square billboards, your visual and your written style is going to be what helps them go, oh, that's my brand. That's my people. I want to see them. The same absolutely goes for social media times 10,000 fold. So what exactly does a brand voice do? It's a way for you to start a conversation that builds a community of people that don't think twice about giving you click-throughs. You're always going to want to focus on things that provide as much value as possible with as little forethought as possible. I'll touch on it in a little while, but not every single piece of content needs to be this huge brain teaser for your audience. I have built out a workbook that we take all our clients through to help them refine their brand voices for social media. But I'm going to give you guys a little shortcut just to help you get started. So the 3 things that you need to do first is ask yourself, what problem am I solving? What have I earned the right to talk about? And what's the one thing I want my customers to think about my brand? And if you're like furiously writing, don't worry, we're going to send this out. These are extremely important and they seem like they would be really easy to answer, right? But the one thing that is so easy to mistake is to come up with a superficial answer and just slide on to the next question. You don't want to do that. So take a look at what you assume your answer is and then do a gut check, because your goal here is to create an unquestionable, incomparable, completely uncopyable value proposition. And I will show you one that I did for one of our clients. So they are a craft brewery out toward the middle of the state. And he's very passionate about the historic aspect of brewing. Their name comes from their sister city in England. So it's Old Sarum and then there's New Sarum. He's very into understanding how to take this complex stuff that sort of created the original craft beer 200-300 years ago. But that's not necessarily approachable. And he wanted to make it relevant for where he is right now. So a lot of their brews are using only things that are sourced from local North Carolina agriculture. And all of that starts to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And if you're a really cool, yeah, I'm into it craft beer dude, you're going to nerd out on it. But he also distributes throughout North and South Carolina. And for the majority of people buying that in the grocery store, they are never, ever going to step foot in his tap room, at least not until they've already tried their brand. So that gave us a really interesting case study to try and think about, how do I get people to understand the history, the knowledge, the acceptance, the excitement? If they're sitting here looking at it on a shelf, it's $12 for a 6-pack and it's hot, versus some of the same old whatever over there in the cold case that's $3 cheaper, and I'm just going to grab that and go and pop one open when I get to the house. So we asked, what problem are they solving? And what we come around to is that the craft beer market lacks an affordable, approachable gateway that welcomes craft curious drinkers. Okay, I can see that. My initial answer to what problem are we solving is, well, we make good craft beer. That's not a unique problem. That is not a unique business aspect. So then we follow it up with, what has New Sarum earned the right to talk about? And if we're building off of that problem, they've earned the right to talk about the gateway from basic beer to craft brews using local ingredients and comfortable, easy drinking go-tos. For them, it's very important that our client goes, yep, I want New Sarum. It's good. I'm going to take that and run with it. They are very interesting in that if you are at a party with people who totally know what they're drinking, they're going to enjoy it. And if you're at a party where everybody else shows up with Bud Light and Coors Banquet, which I happen to love, New Sarum still fits right in. So when I'm thinking about this third question, what's the one thing people should think about New Sarum Brewing? That's their value proposition. And I tied it up with, choosing New Sarum Brewing means guaranteed good taste. They have all the science, all the history, all the ingredients, and all the skills to back that up. And that's where the unquestionable, incomparable, completely uncopyable value proposition comes from. Now, here's one that's going to throw you for a little bit of a loop. what are 3 things that I do not want customers to associate with my brand, my business? It seems like it should be really easy to answer right up until you start digging into it and start to think about nuance. One of the common copy cues that I get is people say, I want my brand to sound happy. It is really hard to write happy, because if you start to think about it and break it down, happy can be juvenile. It can be aloof, it can be shallow, and it can even be naive. So once you start digging into how you do not want to sound, you start to find these synonyms that really inform exactly what your stuff needs to sound like. We can do it for smart also. That's another one of my favorites that I don't like to get. So if we're thinking about smart, it can mean knowledgeable, meaning that your tone creates a place in your feeds that is a place for fact finding and details. Smart can also be concise, short, tight captions that don't really leave a lot of room for dialogue. You see that one in particular on a lot of government websites. Smart can also mean clever. If you're thinking about humorously intellectual place to go that has fun content that kind of digs a level deeper, my most favorite example of clever content is Millennial Misery on Instagram. If you guys haven't seen it, I highly recommend it. So here's another thing that I like to make sure that people sort of set aside while we're talking about a brand voice. They always ask me, well, what about competitors? Quite frankly, I don't care about your competition, and you shouldn't either. And people get a little bit upset and they're like, oh my God, but wait. There is an old saying, no one is thinking about you half as much as you are thinking about them. And it is absolutely tailor-made for business. So take a 30-day break from looking at your competitors on social. You can unfollow them, turn off your notifications, just let it ride. I don't want to know what your competitors have already said. I want to know what makes you unique and what makes you special. People come to your feeds for authenticity. Authenticity comes from what you are, not what they are. I want to do this so that you can turn your feeds into a destination for your customers. Now that sounds all fine and good, and it's a big, long, fancy, okay, fine, all right, fine, that's cool. But what does it actually mean to be a destination? It means you're known for something unique. It means people seek you out for special moments, big and small. It means validating the idea that you're worth more than what they paid for. And it means treating your feed like a storefront window to show your customers what to expect.
Hi, this is Althea. You said what clinic? The pre-op clinic. Okay.
What's happening?
You're good.
Okay. So left to right, I pulled out 3 feeds that I'm really into. Full disclosure, the one in the middle is one that we run, and the other 2 are just really good. So here on the left, we have East Coast Tags. She is a local t-shirt and apparel screen printer here in Brevard. She has 116, almost 117,000 followers on TikTok, and I freaking love it. I don't wear many t-shirts. I don't go to her TikTok page to see t-shirts. I come because she used TikTok to grow her business during COVID. She refilms trends and focuses all the content on what it takes to be a business owner, but she does it all while wearing her own products, which is pretty freaking cool, I think. When I need motivation, tips on business, or just a really good kick in the butt, I'm going to go to her feed and look and dig in, and I spend probably 15 to 20 minutes digging through her stuff when I think it's just going to be like a one-click done. It never is. She's awesome. Here in the middle, this is Heath Electric Company. They're based down in Georgia. And for him, I do 3 content pillars: jobs, photos, reviews, and the history of electricity facts. telling someone about the origins of vacuum cleaner patents won't make him a sale, but it brings his brand name into their day-to-day life so that when they do have some sort of emergency, he's going to be the first one that they call. And then over here on the far right, we have a Instagram profile, which is a company called the Friday Pattern Company. I really enjoy sewing. I try to make some pretty cool stuff every now and then, but I am not a straight size anything and never will be. So their feed is always about body positivity and clothes that fit and feel good. It's a non-negotiable that I'm going to have to adjust a pattern either up or out or in or somehow. So I make sure that I go there for all the tips and tricks. And honestly, it's just a nice dose of kind of fast fashion. But they always help me power through a new make. It's not that I'm always buying from any of these brands. East Coast Tags is my destination for business motivation. Heath Electric Co. is a destination for brand knowledge and a service when you need it. And then the Friday Pattern Company is a destination for inclusion, support, and creative skill sets. A big takeaway from here is treat your feed like your storefront window. You need to show your customers what to expect. It is prime real estate. You wouldn't throw stained Tupperware up there while you're eating lunch to try and welcome people into your store. So don't put your food pics on social. If you're thinking about it like your storefront window, make it deliberate, make it pretty, and make it relevant. But don't make it complicated. Your customers do not want to think hard about every single post. And I've got a couple of options coming up that we can kind of look through and see what's going on. The two takeaways are, if it's trending and it's pretty and it has nothing to do with your business, don't put it on your social feed. For your business, you can do whatever you want to on your private page. If it's interesting to you and only you, but it doesn't align with the customers you're trying to attract, don't put that on your social. So these are 3 examples. I want to talk about what we're seeing. Arctic Fox is known for these bold, vibrant, fun hair colors, which is not something you would immediately associate with environmentally friendly. All of their products are vegan. All of their products are, they take 15% of their profit from every single sale and donate it to anti-animal cruelty charities. Their fans know that, their fans expect that. And the thing that I like the most about this particular post is that they come right out and say it. Full transparency, our prices are going up. Because they're having supply chain issues, they got to raise their price in order to make good on their brand promise, which is donating that 15% to animal rescues. It's a nice little slider, it tells you what's going on, but front and center, without having to think about it, okay, I see what's happening. People come for the photos, but they stick around for the caption. But the photos have to make sense. Here in the middle, I also like what this guy is doing. I don't know who he is, but I like this feed. The consultant here is doing a lot of business growth and social media audience gaining. He pulls you in with a really heavy dose of truth. No number of hacks will help without this simple plan. And then he follows along and delivers the steps to make your own growth-focused content plan. It's nice, it's easy, I get it, I'm in. Now let's look at what's going on over here on the right. First look, I'm thinking maybe it's a boho chic boutique. Could be a greenhouse, could be all natural hair care if I'm trying to figure out what's going on in the picture. And if you read the caption, you might think that it's like an energy worker or mind and palm reading. It's not. It's a marketing company. It's pretty and it's trendy, but it has nothing to do with the line of services. No one's going to stick around for a mismatched caption. One thing while we're tying up our storefront window, think about your content as a set of series. These one-off signs of life don't really offer value for your current customers or anyone trying to join your business community. It doesn't have to be super complicated. And if you think back to the Heath Electric example, it's jobs, reviews, and some fun facts. It's not real deep, but it's reliable, it's consistent, and it keeps it tight and right. And the one thing I want to tie up with, I couldn't pick, so I just went ahead and did both. These are 2 quotes from the same woman. You don't find out who you are unless you work at it. And if you're not interested, you're not interesting. Iris Apfel is a style icon, a business owner, and she's a media influencer. She also happens to be 100 years old. She's turning 101 in September. The reason that I wanted to show these to you is that you have to dig really deep to find your brand voice and create content that matters. But you can't only ever be talking about yourself. The best way to get people active and engaging and communicating on your social media feeds is to start talking about them. Find people you want to follow, find people you're excited about, go in, engage, like, comment. It's literally the exact same thing that you do on your phone when you're thumbing through on the couch, but make sure you're doing it for your business as your business. Do it for your people that are up the street. One thought, do it for your competitors. See what happens. So I'm going to tie that up and take some Q&As. Y'all are free to pop them into the chat or just unmute and ask out loud. We should play the Jeopardy music.
I don't have the Jeopardy music
I
to do
know.
that.
Thank you. I think maybe I'll kick it off if that's okay.
Mhm.
Thank you, Allison. That was great. So you used an example of TikTok,
Mhm.
and I'm curious about what you think. Who should use TikTok? I mean, it takes resources to do social media, right? And we think about Facebook, we think about Insta, and now, we're thinking more about TikTok. Are there any rules of thumb on where a business should focus when it comes to social media?
The short answer is yes, absolutely. The much longer answer is if you are specifically thinking about TikTok, you have to like being on camera. I don't like being on camera. I will never do a TikTok.
She puts me on camera.
I do. Frank's much more fun. He's funny.
Yeah.
I'm clever. He's funny.
Right.
If we're thinking about our smart nuances.
Mhm.
Facebook is really good if you're trying to do things that are very heavily event heavy. So if you have an event space, absolutely go over there, swing through the Facebook. You can create your events, you can load things up. It automatically notifies all your followers. They make boosting really easy, which Frank recommends you do not do. So
I'll get to it.
we'll cover that in a minute. If you don't have something that's pretty, don't put it on Instagram.
Mhm.
Instagram is and will always be a platform for photography, a platform for videos. It's the platform for pretty. And we have actually had several clients come to us and they just signed up for the whole gamut. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, TikTok, and some other Snapchat thing I've never seen. Almost always we tell people to shut down at least one of their feeds. It's impossible for us to keep up, and we do this for a living. We do not post every single day for any one of our clients. Not because we can't, but because it doesn't actually offer as much value as you would want. We're currently working with someone who's been posting daily for the last 9 years, and people are tired of hearing him. So now we're having to kind of help him do a little bit of a cleanse and figure out how many of his followers are really engaged, how many of them are excited and interesting, and hey, what can we do to add more value for you?
Yeah, and I'll touch on it a little bit in a minute, but I think too, like understanding what the platforms are for. Twitter really got a resurgence with food trucks because food trucks were bouncing around, so people would follow the food trucks Twitter to find exactly where they are. LinkedIn is obviously great for B2B. We deal with some services that are only B2B, so that's a full LinkedIn play all the way. They don't need Facebook. We recently talked to someone, and they were it was a little pretty, but they were struggling with Instagram. So, it's like, okay, well, how do we shift that? So kind of understanding how all those platforms are used, and I'll touch on it in my second slide, but kind of build that environment for your brand.
And to tie up that environment of your brand note, one of the things that we focus on a lot is what makes sense for your brand as a feed for organic content, and what makes sense for your brand as a platform for ads. You don't have to have an Instagram profile to run Facebook ads on Facebook and Instagram, because a paid ad will let you link off to the platform. You can send them directly back to wherever you are, either your website or any of your other social channels that you actually do have time for.
So yeah, and I think too, just kind of making sure that the platforms that you choose make sense for your brand. I'm not going to recommend our brewery client go on Snapchat, because most of their target audience is not drinking age. There's little stuff like that. So if there's any other questions, I don't want to be conscious of time, but if there's any other questions, feel free to throw them in the chat, and then we can both tag team them at the end. So for me, so we've established brand voice, we've established who you are, we've established what you do. So how do we implement that? And for my half of things, it boils down to right message, right time and platform, right people. So Allison's side of that strategy and stuff really sets the tone for me, which is that message. Through data and analytics, I can assess what the right time is based on the platforms that you're currently on. And as Allison alluded to earlier, sometimes we might kick out a platform. And then lastly, the right people. So this comes down to the people that you want to attract, or who's currently buying your product. And I know what some people might be thinking is, well, those are the same people. No, they're not. We used to work with a local, antiques type store. And when I asked them this question, they told me our target market are the people that buy our stuff are like retirees, older, whatevers. But I spent multiple days in that store, and the people that were constantly buying were like moms, dual income, no kids, or like first time families, which tells me that the people that you think you're going after are not the actual people that are actually buying your stuff. So those two will probably be different. Now, if you want to go after a specific market, that's an ad play. That's a different strategy. So as I mentioned, create your environment. There's a ton of platforms out there. This isn't even all of them, but this is a good chunk. Everybody's familiar with Facebook, Instagram. This is not new news, but you got Google, you got TikTok, we got Hulu, Google Maps, Nextdoor, Snapchat, Waze, and things that I don't even have on here. Reddit, Spotify. So figure out what makes sense for your brand. If you're a clothing brand, Pinterest, Instagram, and probably TikTok are gonna be your sacred cows. If you're an environment, like Allison used the thing, you said, what, wedding venue or something?
Yeah.
If you're a venue, Spotify should definitely be in your mix. You should have playlists, wedding playlist, frat party playlist. Don't host a frat party, but what, you get my point. 90s parties, whatever. That should be a perfect play for y'all. And then understanding that we create this immersive experience for a reason. So on the left, there's a common misconception that the purchase path is linear. And in this case, I know it's an S, but let's just imagine that we stretch it out. So awareness, consideration, purchase, advocacy, loyalty, right? This very here to here to here to here thing. What it's really like is that pinball machine on the right. I pinball all the time, and I know it because I'll see something on Instagram, I'll double check it on Amazon, make sure it's legit or whatever. You know, if they have a website, I'll hit the website. I might ask a friend, hey, have you ever bought these whatevers from these people on Instagram? Yes, perfect. Then I kind of circle back around. I might forget about it for a while, or both of us guilty as charged. I'll open that sucker up on a new tab on my phone, and then I'll ignore it for a few months, and then I'll come back to it.
Don't make fun of my tab.
The pinball machine is real because just the way the world is now, it's not a direct, I see it, I buy it kind of thing. So I mentioned it briefly in the beginning, but what we're doing is we're creating this mostly organic social environment. So it's paid that supports organic. As Allison mentioned, you know, we have to get people to that digital storefront. They're not, the old days of if you build it, they will come no longer exist. We have to go get them, bring them, and then have something to show them. So managed versus ad platforms. Obviously, I don't want to add more work for us or for y'all. So how much time do y'all have versus where can ads fill in those gaps? Facebook, Instagram, Untapped, which is bottom left. You know, some of these are platforms that you genuinely have to manage. You have to stay on top of. Twitter is a very fast platform. A tweet dies in 13 minutes. So you got to be on it. You know, you have to click and engage. People expect a response within an hour. You know, Allison had a wonderful experience with Delta several years ago. I mean, I think in the time she was in line, Delta's Twitter
No.
fixed it.
I was on the phone
Uh-huh.
with the customer service 3 times because I got hung up on 3 times. I was enraged, and I happened to find the Delta Redcoats customer service handle, and I was like, great, I haven't tweeted in like 4 years, but whatever, we'll try it out. Within 20 minutes, they helped me change my ticket, waive the change fee because it was some third-party ridiculousness. It booked a PM instead of an AM. It was a hot mess, and problem solved.
Mhm.
But I had spent 3 hours on the phone trying to get this sorted out. And had they not had someone trained on customer service on their Twitter, it would have been a very, very different experience.
Right. So some of the ones that I've kind of turned down the transparency on can run in the background. I turned Pinterest down. Pinterest is really cool because Pinterest is viewed more as a search engine than a true social media. And those ads and those posts last for months, which is unheard of with some of the rest. I mentioned Spotify earlier. That's kind of half and half because you definitely need some upfront time to set up your playlist, add songs, you know, do the logos and make sure it looks like your brand. But then you can just kind of let it ride. Google My Business is obviously playing in the background for all of us at all times. That's a big reputation management thing. The important thing about that is when it comes to management, when you get a review, respond as soon as you possibly can. Don't put the phone down. Don't take a minute. Respond as soon as possible. Those reviews are extremely important. LinkedIn, you know, all the others, it's just kind of, you're playing this game of time versus where can ads fill in those gaps. So this is my favorite this is my favorite slide. It goes in all of my presentations. If any of us run business pages, which I assume most of us, if not all of us do, you've seen this little button. It's a little blue button that shows up on all of our lovely posts. Don't hit it, please. You can call me. I will talk you down off that ledge. Just please don't hit the button. The problem with this button is Facebook makes it very easy for you to give them money. Shocker, they love money. So they make it very easy. The problem is that a lot of automatic things happen once you hit this button. And we recently had a review, kind of a consult with a small business. in Asheville, and it's kind of a health and skincare brand. They hit this button, and it ended up sending their ad to Saudi Arabia, Canada, the United Kingdom, I think parts of Russia, and then the United States.
She doesn't ship outside of the United States,
Right.
and she's not a Bitcoin.
Correct. That was also part of the problem, was it hit this automatic targeting of what's popular. And right now, with Bitcoin being pretty popular, it started throwing those tags in. She has nothing to do with Bitcoin. She doesn't even accept Bitcoin. So these are the kind of problems that can show up if you do not target and actually create an ad versus hitting this button. So when it comes to setting up an ad, the thing that we always kind of ask ourselves is, we talked about that path to purchase, right? So it's it's a pinball machine. It's not necessarily this linear thing. So I like to build my ads in kind of this 4-stage process. So I will design an ad that's straight awareness. I don't ask for anything. I don't send them to a website. It can be, here's our brand, like our page, or follow us on Instagram. It just to get some sort of first initial contact, right? This is the first time we've all met each other on this call. So this is much more detailed, but if you think about it as like that first hit of, oh, I'm scrolling my feed and I see a new tennis shoe company that I've never heard of. Oh, that's cool. That's awareness. That is just that first impression. How do we do it? Then we go into the consideration phase. So this is where I might ask for a follow or a like, but I don't ask for much else, because this is like that second date kind of realm, right? You might work your way up to like holding hands, but that's about it. Don't go in for the kiss just yet. Consideration is that I opened a tab, I kind of Googled your stuff, maybe I found you on Amazon, and I'm thinking about it. You interest me. After an appropriate amount of time, we'll go in for the purchase or the action. So this is where I'll send people to a website, or I'll send people to like our purchase page. If you have a shop on your Instagram or Facebook page, great. LinkedIn supports this too. So I might do, follow our company, check out our website, we're hiring, whatever. That happens in this third phase. And in the phase that commonly gets skipped, and it irks me a little bit, is that reconnection phase. So we can retarget our Facebook followers. We can take that list, whether it's an email list or a Twitter campaign list, and retarget them again. Hey, thanks for checking us out. Oh, Nan, you got a cute puppy. Sorry, I got derailed. So that reconnection phase is where it's that follow-up email like you would do for an interview or something, where, hey, thanks for buying our product. Here's 10% off this next time. And you can do all that through that reconnection ad idea. So I want to go into a little bit of detail. I won't go way down the rabbit hole, but just to kind of give you an understanding of, how you can target and what types of things might help your brand. So with Facebook, Instagram, kind of over here on the left, you can target by demographics, which would be, education, financials, behaviors. So anniversary, mobile device user. If you're advertising an app, you kind of probably don't want to hit people on desktop. So you want to do mobile devices only. Politics is obviously a thing. I won't go down there. Interests, you can do business, food and drink, and there's a few more, science and tech, shopping, fashion, etc. On the far right, Twitter is probably one of my favorites because you can get extremely granular. You can actually, if you look at the spots that I have grayed out there with the little round icons, those are actually our clients' competitors. So you can target your competitors' followers. You can target their interests, movies or shows, events, conversation topics, all sorts of stuff. So it's a very, very robust platform when it comes to ads. LinkedIn, if you, like I mentioned earlier, if you're a B2B, you can target by job title or role. So, if I'm HubSpot and I'm advertising some new CRM thing, I probably want to go after the marketing and the salespeople. I probably don't care about HR. You can target by company, location, industry. When it comes to TikTok, TikTok encourages you to make TikToks, not ads. So make them look like they belong on the platform. Don't just throw up your branded video and, we're ABC company and we believe in experience the world. Like it, we want TikToks. That's why we're on the platform. Spotify. So Spotify is very cool where we can target by not only customers' interests, but we can also target by genres. So, if you are that type of wedding venue, space, you can target, by maybe, chill, classical, maybe alternative, spoken word, kind of those sort of tones and kind of relaxing type vibes.
2010 pop.
Right. There you go. If maybe you're an automotive type brand, you might want to target that in-car listening or commuting role. Those might be two things that you want to touch on. And then my favorite local social. So Google and Bing places or Google My Business. For those of y'all wondering what Bing is, apparently it's a thing. I know apparently people use it. The nice thing for all of us involved is you can actually sync your Google My Business pages with a Bing location. So they'll just mesh and you don't have to set up a whole new profile. But it is important for like the 4 people a year that might use Bing and find you.
Or complain about you, as we had
Yeah, that's real.
happen a few months ago.
Yeah. And then so long as y'all promise not to throw things at me, I'm going to use the dreaded A word, but just hear me out. So Amazon is very interesting in the sense that it does offer spotlights for local and handmade goods. This is a way to increase your awareness for non-local purchasers, i.e. tourists. And then it's also a great place for those tourists to get the thing that they bought at your store in Asheville at home. And this is also kind of Amazon obviously has a bunch of information about its purchasers. So you can really leverage those insights into, product cloud for your brand and kind of understand the reference or the example I kind of thought of yesterday was if you make like handmade soap or handmade lotions and you're like, wow, my stuff is so much better than Aveeno's or whatever. Well, you can definitely target people that have bought Aveeno with your brand. So that's a great way to leverage that sort of data for your small, locally made product. And then last but not least, you don't have to be on Amazon. There are a few restrictions when it comes to that, but as a whole, you do not have to be on Amazon to do that. Thank you for not throwing anything at me. Allison mentioned collaborative marketing earlier. So some of y'all might be wondering kind of what that is. Collaborative marketing is basically 2 brands coming together to reach a common market or a common person. So you obviously want to think about similar non-competitive brands, right? Like you're not, 2 breweries, probably aren't going to like go. Actually, that's a terrible example.
It is because they do collabs.
They do collabs.
But they're not competing.
There you go. So bad example. Etch a Sketch.
I love like holistic makeup.
Perfect.
And I also love like nature inspired jewelry, right? Holistic, naturey, kind of super higher level, want something that's not necessarily readily available. I am a great use case for a co-branded giveaway.
Mm-hmm.
So a company that has like a multi-purpose, all natural makeup totally could do a co-brand giveaway with some handmade jewelry that is, forest, local, inspired, nature, mountain, sun, anything celestial, I'm gonna buy it. And it turns into a really strong way to find people that are your audience that maybe hadn't necessarily thought about you.
Right.
We did a really strong one for a previous client, which was a map company, Pisgah
Yeah.
Map Co.
Mhm.
Along with, who was the other?
It was an outdoor store out in Cedar Mountain. But obviously, I mean, like Allison's example, and like that much better example. Thank you.
Welcome.
You're going after the same person, right? It's a fairly decent marketing guess that the all natural makeup person is probably the nature inspired jewelry person, or it's a pretty solid guess that the map buyer is probably going to an outdoor store, right? That's a very easy jump. It's not like, Mercedes and like, Kleenex, right? Like it's just weird. So you also want to think about local micro influencers. Influencers is a big, kind of buzzword in the world of social. But I don't want you to. I don't want you to immediately lock into, well, they have to have 1,000 followers and all this stuff, or a million or whatever. Micro influencers can be like 5,000 and under. It can be 1,000 and under. If there's someone in your community that has a solid share of voice, reach out to them. Maybe it's a local blogger. Maybe it's somebody that works for the local paper. Maybe there's so many options there, and it does not have to be, some celebrity that you have to pay $250,000 an Instagram post for, which that's a real quote, by the way. It can be local. You might also want to think about event planners, and then depending on your brand, you might want to consider having a media night. Allison can talk more specifically about them, but media nights are very cool. If you have a brand that kind of needs to get the word out and has a brick and mortar, you can invite local media to there on a specific night, and they will tweet about it, they will post about it, they will do all sorts of stuff and help kind of raise that awareness. And then I saw one come through chat, but now is a perfect time. I am done. So now is a great time to hit me up with any questions.
Yeah.
Do you want to answer that one first?
Yeah, so Connie, we definitely did get your question, and I think it's phenomenal, and thank you for asking. Just for people that can't see, Connie is in a service line versus a selling stuff line. And it's a very common question that we get, does social work for service platforms versus just simple retail? And the answer is absolutely yes. So Connie, the things that I wanted to touch on with you specifically are where you're talking about the biofeedback, the brain and body habits, and retraining those things in order to help with some of those neurological symptoms. There are so many podcasts on Spotify that are specifically tied into how do I feel better, do better, be better. And a lot of them are talk based. If you have anything that is like mantras or meditation guidance, make yourself a playlist, put it out there, and then make an ad for it, and send people to your playlist. You can then link off to your service platform, which is, whether that's your website or however you're doing it. The Instagram is designed for pretty. I think you have a lot of opportunity to do some really exciting visual work for the things that you're trying to do. People love listicles and swipe sticles.
Swipables?
It's swiping listicles.
Let's go with swipables. That's too many. That's too much.
If you break down a listicle of those brain habits that you're talking about and ways to retrain your brain and turn that into a swipeable list, you've got loads of content that will help you. And please feel free to reach out to us. We were more than happy to keep talking.
Michelle, I love your question. Heck yeah, I do. First of all, don't manage 40 Facebook profiles. It's a lot.
It's too many.
But
since we do,
and we love it. Yes.
Something like that.
So managing multiple Facebook accounts. So yeah, a lot. This is very common for brands and just freelancers, but so there is brand suite or a business suite for Facebook.
Yeah.
It's okay. I don't love it. It's really good at funneling messages, and I do appreciate that. We use a tool called Social Bee. I we'll get the list. By the way, for everybody, we're going to be sending out a handout, so don't worry about taking every single note. We're going to condense it into a handout for everybody. And Michelle, in your email, I will make sure to put in a link to Social Bee. It's a great company, nice and easy, kind of keeps things short, sweet, and to the point. And yeah, any other questions? Feel free to unmute yourself and just holler at us. We're here for y'all.
Ooh,
Um,
I'm excited with Sierra's question.
Hey, Frank and Allison, sorry.
Shoot.
Could you stop sharing and let people
Yeah.
put you up either?
Nobody
pick
wants
you-
to see me.
Oh, man.
Okay, everybody can see
I
Allison.
do. I love to see faces. And then if you, before we sign off, if you wanted to put your website or your phone number into chat,
Yeah.
that would be great. So anybody who wants to either put them in speaker and or pin them if you just want to see them or you like seeing everybody like
Yeah.
I do. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so Sierra's asking, what is the best way to market a brand with a defined message, which is great because most people don't start with the message, they start with the stuff. But you have a static number of products. So she's saying she has a classic rock candle company, but only introduces one new product a year and you're running out of photo ideas. Absolutely, completely understand. That's where we would really recommend that user generated content comes into play. You obviously are selling things. You wouldn't be in business otherwise. So just reach out to the customers that you have and just say, hey, thanks so much. I'm super excited that you're loving our products. We'd love to keep you in the loop on things that are coming and show us how you use our product. We want to know how we inspire you to rock out your day with your pour some sugar on me candle,
Yeah, I was thinking
which I would
too.
totally love to have, by the way.
I was thinking too, Sierra. Depending on how many candles you have, and like how many artists,
Mhm.
a Spotify like candle
Yeah.
playlist
Yeah.
thing, like
A playlist of the songs that you have a product for.
yeah.
Mhm.
If we're going like full crazy, which I'm all for, by the way. Berea Pasta, if any of y'all know who that is, it's if y'all are on Spotify, go check it out. Just look for Berea Pasta, Barilla. They did playlists for as long as it takes to cook the noodles.
Like 12 minutes, 11 minutes.
It was
awesome.
the coolest thing I've ever seen. So they have like a fettuccine one, a spaghetti one, a penne one, etc.
It's all classic Italian. Like, it's great.
Sarah, I wonder if you could time how long it takes for one of your candles to burn and make a playlist that long. Like that would be.
One other idea I have for you, Sierra, is if you are really, really running out of content ideas and you want more of that pretty, see if you can collaborate with some local artists and say, hey, I make this thing. Would you please do me a set of 3? And then it's one image that you split into a triptych and then you post all 3 at once. And then your feed turns into this really sexy, like striped, rocking out, very excited, so into it, let's do this feed. And you only have to worry about it once every week, once every 2 weeks versus, holy crap, I got to post right now. Ryan has a fantastic question. Thank you. So Ryan's asking, he has a business opening near the end of the year. What do we think about marketing now with nothing to sell for a while? So the short answer is we have a social media roadmap that we specifically designed for, it's actually for breweries and planning, but it ended up being very applicable across the board. We would suggest typically starting your marketing about 60 days out and then leading up to it, ramping up to it. And that's where Frank's conversion pinball conversion pinball comes into play. So you're talking about awareness, then you're digging into the conversion, which is that super simple, hey, come like my page. And all you're doing is building up a community so that when you do launch, you're not celebrating by yourself.
Yeah, that's like,
That's real. But as soon as you open, for the love of God, please don't stop posting.
Right.
We've had several people that are like, hey, this is wonderful. And then radio silence and they can't figure out what happened to all their folks. They think you died. Like there's nothing there.
Oh, Nan had a great question.
Nan, show me.
Sorry.
Oh,
On
yeah.
the top.
Hi. Yes, so Nan, you are a realtor and you're asking if we have any interesting social media ideas specifically for real estate. And the short answer is, oh my God, they're everywhere.
Mhm.
Completely understand your business challenges there. A very cool thing that we didn't touch on in this particular presentation, but that we do have some deep dive info on is sponsoring areas that you want to be prominent in on Nextdoor. And Nextdoor gets a little bit scary sometimes with the people talking about my garbage can got stolen and oh my God, it's a rabid raccoon. But you can pay to sponsor specific zip codes that you're particularly interested in. And one of the things that we would like to see people do more of is sponsor the zip codes that they want to be selling in, not that they're currently selling in. Because in theory, if everybody sees your face on the thing and is sitting out in the yard and on the billboards and everywhere else, you've already got that market. You don't need to spend your money there. But if you wrap it up and you start to be, anytime someone searches homes in 28712 and you sponsored it, so Nan's the first one, I would absolutely click on you because it's a real human being.
Yeah. I would say too, like, I wasn't gonna go, I wasn't gonna bring it up because it can be a touchy subject sometimes, but social media, I have this talk often, social media is not responsible for sales. So unless we're talking about ads are different, ads are a totally separate beast. But that organic side, like your actual feed, do not expect sales from that.
Mm-mm.
You know, Nan, who's gonna buy a $500,000 house off of Instagram? Probably no one. You know, Sierra, you know, your candles, like beautiful. I already got the tab open.
I'm so excited.
They're probably not, like, it's gonna take me a minute because I gotta find the right candle. But what it is a brand validator. And that takes the cake, right? It's where people go to check you out. It's where people go to make sure that you're a real thing. It's where people go to see some sort of sign of life. And that's something that you definitely want to hold on to and maintain and protect.
And Nan, we're gonna keep thinking about that because we see there's realtors all over the place, especially down here in Brevard. And every time we're out on a walk or something, we think about, oh man, that'd be so cool. So we will definitely send you a couple. Let's see, we got some things in Microsoft, linking.
That was me.
Okay, Microsoft?
Talking about LinkedIn.
Yeah.
I think you may have time for one more, where the time just flew, and I just want to take a second to thank everyone for coming in. So do you have one more you'd like to answer before we sign off here?
I think we slammed through them pretty good.
That's great.
Let's see if we missed it. Oh, got a new one. Oh, hopefully.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yay!
But no, thank you all so much for stopping by. Again, our contact info is in the chat. It was our last slide. Please don't hesitate to reach out, call, text, email, whatever works. We are very, very findable. We are literally at Social Borough on everything. So please don't hesitate to hit us up and reach out. We're always happy to help.
Mm-hmm.
You both were awesome. We had such a great group today. I'm going to just go ahead and turn